Hello there, everybody. Welcome to Heroes Without Limits for our Monday Plains of Providence Quest RPG campaign set in a homebrew setting of my own creation. We are here to provide hilarity, occasionally attractive NPCs, and some level of chaos and such, with occasional moments of tension and emotional strife. It's my brand. Hello there, everyone. So, sadly, we are not going to have our Jimber today as she is dealing with some health stuff. So, we are carrying along without our naturalist for today, but we miss you very much, Jen, and we're looking forward to hopefully having you back next week when things are a little bit more settled down. We do have the return of the fantastic, daring, roguish Farron, otherwise known as our delightful Jace. So, glad to have them back and that they're feeling better today. But before we get into everything else, just want to let my players introduce themselves real quick, and I will give the content warning and then jump into the recap and such before we get all of this started. So, whoever would like to start, otherwise, I will start calling someone like a teacher in a grade school.
I'll do it.
Sweet.
It's fine. It's good. I'll do it.
All
Hi,
right.
everyone. It's me, your friend Inez. Good to see you again. Today, I will be playing, as always, I will be playing the very local, yes, very local, um, uh, buff elf lady fighter, Howdian, who we all know and love, the comfort lesbian, but also the big mom. Um, who is very cold and is very distraught. If you watched last week.
Some for obvious reasons, and some for soon to be disclosed reasons.
Uh, yes.
All righty. Next up.
Yep, I'll go. Sorry. Hi, everyone. I am Jace. Words are hard today.
Words are hard today.
Holy
They
hell.
are.
My
Carry
pronouns
on.
are they, them, and I am playing Farron, your most lovable roguish ranger.
Who, as of last week, managed to survive several different incidents with acrobatic finesse. So, sticking to that brand real
Yep.
strong.
We are sticking to the, like, twink Assassin's Creed brand.
Twink Assassin's Creed brand. This somebody save that. And last but not least, Gabriel.
Hi, I found the unmute button. um, my name is Gabriel. I go by they, them. I'm playing Nim or Nimian, the very awkward and currently out of gear invoker, the Howrian of this version of the adventure.
And we will get into that and such very soon as to why that is the case when I jump into the recap. But as a quick note for folks, general content warnings, there can be occasions of violence, there can be discussions of issues related to mental health and disability and such, a lot of intergenerational conflict and drama, and things of that sort coming up, and occasional elements related to fungi and bestial and body horror. So those are things that could come up tonight. Just giving folks a warning. Also, if you have a somewhat squeakish reaction to things like scorpions or insects, that also might be a thing. I'm going to let folks know ahead of time. That should cover a lot of it, but also if you have any anxieties or any difficulties related to things of like nature exploration, specifically around the cold, that is also a thing likely to come up both in the recaps and still as a difficulty that the party will have to face. So, letting folks know that at the top of the session. But with that out of the way, get into our recap, which we have a doozy of a one in terms of things that went down last week. The party set about looking into a few different possible paths to make their way through the mountains and just start figuring out where to find the apparently sighted astral ravagers and potentially the apostles who are controlling them. That resulted in the party deciding to take a rather dangerous route among relatively all dangerous to differing degrees routes. And as a result of that, the party had to deal with first an avalanche. Uh, that was harrowing. Secondly, getting into a cave in which they discovered Marbell, the unending gale, the due to some diplomacy and choosing not to go straight into combat decisions, the teen parent to two siblings, given the loss of their mother that had been sadly killed by several people, likely from, if not directly Howdian's village and city, people of a similar bent. But with diplomacy handled, the party managed to make their way to a frozen waterfall, hide out in the cave, and invoke a ritual through Serena, the party's naturalist. They gave them interesting images of potential magical items somewhere deeper in the mountains, particularly in a location in which space is empty and nothing should be there. And yet there seemed to be some sense that something magical is there. Along with another source that was nearby, the party chose not to immediately follow up on, given the group's rather precarious situation with the ongoing blizzard. Choosing to rest, recover, and carry on their day, they held off a potential conflict with a pack of winter wolves and overheard the screeches and yells of a loud, massive manticore like creature flying ahead of them, making it past a very precarious situation with thin ice. Dry ice would be a very different effect here. Much more rave scene than mountain scene. Different scenes don't get along with each other, but thank you, players, for indulging me. The party, half of them starting to become extremely cold and risking frostbite as a potential threat, made their way into a nearby cave, one of many that they've already been traversing and taking shelter in. And the session ended with finding a massive, giant woman, seemingly very hurt and near unconsciousness, when she called out to Howdian and spoke a name that no one recognized, but Howdian seemed to have recognition of. And that is where we left off with session 9, and now we begin session 10, Conflict and Community. So, setting the scene, the cave entrance is for the most part with the party having tried to take his best time. Mostly barred, but you can still hear, and even through it being barred, still feel this cold, piercing chill, particularly Howdian and Jin. Not Jin, Serena. Both of you, having fallen into the water, are in a not particularly great state, and it's getting extremely cold. But you, at least Gabrin, well, actually, the whole group is in front of this giant woman who, for Jace's benefit, or rather Farron's benefit, I will give a description of again. This individual is roughly 21 feet tall, so that would be roughly somewhere around, I think that's like 6.5 meters, somewhere around there in like height. I'm trying to, because it's like 3.3,
How
something
many?
like that. I'm trying. They're 21 feet. Oh, it's 7. Thank you, Sophia. Producer Scott. So it's. I knew it was like usually divided by 3, but like it's about 7 meters tall. So very tall lady. Seems to have an aura of frost and snowflakes that cling around her body and color what looks to be deep brown skin with light white and blue patterns that look like snowflakes. She has a very fancy pleated skirt that as it goes up, and it has what appears to be hand sewn fabrics into it that look almost kind of like wool. It's flared out and it leads up to sort of a kind of petticoat that also has a deep blue and purple coloration to it, with a bowler hat on top that is slightly tilted to the side, and it looks as though it's decorated with geraniums and frost lilies, and the hair has a vitiligo, except where lightened aspect of the hair would be, it's ice crystals. But this individual just spoke to Howdian and is now passed out unconscious right now. The individual looks quite hurt, and it looks as though throughout her dress there's puncture holes that look like, think stiletto heel sharp kinds of needles and spikes that are, we'll say, about half an Inez in length. And Inez is a rather tall gal, so
I sure am.
so yeah, they're quite extensive, and the holes are, yeah, we'll say about like palm size, and like
Oh,
in terms of like each hole in the dress. So you can tell she's probably taken a fair bit of damage from something. You would imagine the manicore from earlier.
yeah. Do I recognize her? Do I? Because no.
No idea who this person is.
Because she spoke that name. Um, which, by the way, the last time you pronounced it was the correct pronunciation. So I
Milani?
was like, yeah, that's amazing that you got that first try. And so I've been like hunched over with like the cloak because the cloak was given to me, I think, to keep myself warm.
Uh, it might actually. I know.
Yeah, Nim grabbed the cloak from Farron and wrapped it around Howdian.
Yeah. So Howdy and you would have had to spend the ability points to try and deal with that, which we have listed in ours. I think I set it at like 2 to prevent the effects. The cold and the wetness of your clothing immediately just fades off.
All right.
It's less like it drips off you, and it's more like if you're imagining kind of like a vacuum cleaner kind of effect, just being it just seems to just drift off of you entirely. Like for anyone who's ever seen X-Men 2 live action film, the way that the metal is pulled from that person, the guard's body, and collected in front of him, it's that kind of effect, except it's water and frost off of Howdian's body, and it just
is not
down.
Trying to kill you.
Yes, and is not trying to actively kill you with cold and hypothermia. Your doggo is very cold and shivering right now.
Yeah, if I did that, then I will take it off and I'll put it around the doggo. And I'll, after I've like shaken it off and put it over, I'll run over to this person and I'll go, Nim, you know some healing stuff, right? I mean,
yeah. Nim is also currently looking at Serena and then just looking back at Howdian and be like, "Are you okay? What?"
I'm all right. I'm all right. It doesn't matter. This person, however, needs help.
Just take care of Serena. Make sure you don't have wet clothes on. Farron, help. I don't know. Fire. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can try and do that.
Yeah. Keep Serena warm.
You're also the only one, I think, with gear that is not sopping wet. So if you have a torch that you could start a fire with, we might be able to burn torches.
I mean, if these two need to get dry, I wouldn't mind trying something if you let me.
Go ahead. Nim's gonna bolt for the person, the giant in the back of the room.
Yeah. I like I go over and I take their hand, but I suggest it's bigger than me, and so I take like 2 fingers, and I start like feeling for a pulse, and maybe like turn the hand over and like start feeling for a pulse.
You feel a pulse faintly.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just rolled to see if she's alive.
Oh shit!
She passed.
Okay.
She's not conscious, but she's okay.
All right.
She's very faint right now.
Mm-hmm. And so I look over to Nim. I say, there is still a pulse. They're still alive. Do whatever you can.
I'm gonna walk over. Actually, I'll burn the 3 points for oblation first because that heals heals for 6, but also wakes the person up. Whereas mend won't heal as well, I don't think.
Your call.
Alright.
Yeah, I'll first burn the 3 AP for oblation.
Okay. That's an invoker, correct?
Yeah, that's invoker. That's not mend is the other one I have. That's
Doctor.
doctor.
Doctor. Doctor. Doctor. Doctor.
That's the
But-
one I think Nim doesn't quite understand that they can do yet.
Yeah, oblation. Place both hands on the creature, uttering a loving word or phrase. The creature instantly recovers 6 hit points and wakes up there unconscious. Or you may choose to cast a spell with no AP cost by transferring your own hit points to the creature. The creature recovers as many hit points as you are willing to give up. It's a big one, too.
Mm-hmm. What's the loving word or phrase that you speak? I want to know.
Nim's bad at this. I am also bad at this.
Uh-huh.
I guess Nim would just go over and probably they're sitting, right?
Yeah, they're sitting, but they're also like Nim's only like what 4 feet tall. This person
Four-
is like
four-
5 times
yeah.
their size.
Yeah.
They're like
Nim,
ankle
I guess would
height, maybe.
yeah, Nim would actually just go over if there's an arm laying on the ground and just like touch their wrist and be like, oh, it's okay, you're safe.
Oh, that's actually very sweet and cool. I love it.
There's a faint pulse of energy that goes through your hands, Nim, and it goes up their body, and you see there's a faintest bit of like, for lack of better phrasing, like a little bit of color in their cheeks return, and it looks like they're slowly waking up right now.
I actually am going to cast the spell for no AP to transfer 8 hit points.
Oh,
All right, are you sure about
And
this?
I'll patch myself up later. It's fine.
Okay. As you're finishing the transfer over, tell me this is okay. I will describe it, and then if you're okay with that being the description, we'll leave it be. But Nim, what Howdian and Farron see is it almost looks like the faintest bit of moisture from your own body is just going down from the tips of your fingers, and Nim looks significantly like more like worn out, tired, and it's for a moment, Nim, it's kind of terrifying because the water brings to mind a lot of really unpleasant things, but it's also, you feel it become something warm. It's like someone is running a hot bath, and the water just sort of comes out and it seeps into her, and you see her again. She's starting to become conscious. She hasn't woken up yet. It looks like she's just starting.
mm-hmm. I'm just like there with like her big hand, and I'm just like I'm rubbing it like up and down and like trying to get it warm somehow, even though I'm very, very cold. I'm trying to create friction and create warmth.
It's also about this time that at the front of the cavern, you start hearing like something is hitting against the walls.
Uh-oh.
That's the sound you heard earlier. It's not the big one.
I don't like it.
It's just
What was that?
Oh no. Can we hide? How
It's
do
not-
I don't think it's a good idea to hide because
we're stuck in this cavern? We need to stay out of the cold. Serena can't go back out there. If you don't have dry clothing, you can't go back out there. You won't last.
We can hold the front of the cavern. We can't let him pass here. We can't let her let that thing get her. I point at the giant lady.
You're all
So-
hearing the sound of something coming down the cavern pathway. It's
All right.
gonna
Is
be
it
here
so? It's
soon.
coming. It's coming in.
Yeah, it's coming in. Like you heard the sound like something like landed and was crashing against the entrance, and you hear the sound of something moving in the cavern like tunnel towards you all. It'll be here soon.
I
What
look
are you
at-
doing?
I look at Jace. Does he? Do
Farron-
they have does Farron have a torch lit already or no?
No, I was going to do something entirely different.
Dang it! All right. Well, I'll just.
Why
yeah.
don't we handle that first?
Yeah.
So we see this whatever Farron was trying to do will conclude right as you're hearing the sounds. We'll
All right.
back up just a little bit.
Is
So
that-
Farron.
I was just going to like go up to Serena and just go, this might get a little bit hot, as I use my 0 AP burn to just create a swirl of hot air around them, just going,
You do hear the sound. And then, for the sake of hilarity, because why not?
puffball.
Yes, exactly. It's like imagine your hair after like a full like blow dry is just have the kind of effect where all the fur is just kind of like on end, and you don't really see a face right now. The fur is like standing up on end because of how it's been blown out.
Oh dear. Brilliant. I was looking at her like,
Hopefully, she's dry at least.
I mean, she's dry. It's just there's a lot of fur everywhere.
As a curly-haired person, I can relate.
It's a struggle.
Yep. But then we hear the noises, right? I
Yeah,
guess.
now you're hearing the noises.
Uh-huh.
Actually, Nim is going to look to Farron and be like, I'm sorry, I'm asking you for a lot, but can you hide us?
Including.
You think you have the shroud ability, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
are there any plants nearby?
Let's leave it.
What
up
about the
to
lilies?
That's true. There were some lilies nearby. Let's make this for the sake of narrative tension. Let's make Farron. I want you to roll me a d20. We'll see if they respond. If there's enough of them here, and the magic and connection you have to them is strong. Is that a 5?
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
Okay. That. Here's how I'll play that out. Because I have an idea for what goes awry. The abilities with your heat are still relatively new, so the control, the finesse you normally have over your bow isn't quite as strong as it is around the heat. So the heat, as you try and switch over to engage the shroud to act with the lilies, you know the kind of way that a firework goes off and kind of ignites when the end of the wick is finally lit. Yeah, some of the lilies that you make a very loud kind of popping set of noises, and you hear the roar at the end of the cavern go.
I didn't mean for that to happen.
Yeah,
So-
no, it happens. Nim is going to, I guess, stumble, actually. They look a lot.
Pretty hurt. That's like almost all of your health you gave up.
Yeah. Actually, is it fair to say that some of the wounds transferred over?
Oh, you mean from her to you? Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
that
You
was
look like Nim very much looks like they've been punctured by spines, and
Jeez.
right now you are all seeing right above all of your heads, just missing the giant nearby you. You see another set of these long stiletto heel spines just go.
Yeah, I just wanna run towards like the like I wanna run towards it and like hold it off uh
um,
where it is.
Nim's actually going to kind of stumble after Howard and be like, just make sure that Serena's okay, and look at Howard and be like, this is gonna sound weird, but let it go after me first.
I look behind me. I say, with my sword drawn. I say, "You're very funny." And
No,
then
no, really, really.
and then I go towards it.
Yeah, right at the entrance to the section of the cavern. I was about to say tavern. Tavern would be a very different context to be fighting a manicore in. More fun.
More
Uh,
fun.
uh, some interpretations of fun,
Tavern
but
brawl.
you see just peering out from the edges of the shadows where your sight ends. Excuse me. You see this monstrous lion-like face with a mane, just like, and its paws just stretching out forward, and just sort of like careening over its long, barbed, pointed kind of scorpion-like tail, which dotting along it at the little like segments of it, you see long stiletto-like spines. This is going to shift into an action scene right now.
Of course it is.
I would like to know what the party is doing as this manticore appears in the cavern. You all have your turn, and letting you know in terms of distance, this cavern, while quite tall and has enough space to hold your new giant acquaintance, is not a lot of room to move horizontally. That manticore is nearby to all of you.
Okay, so it was moving in our direction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where is that ability?
Well, I would like to size up first of all. Evaluate this beast. Which will give me useful insight into their capabilities, strengths, vulnerabilities, and resistances.
The creature you can see before you, it does not seem to have been bothered by the cold coming in.
Mm.
It's while its whole body and the mane still has aspects of frost in it, it does not seem to be shivering or anything. So cold likely isn't going to have an effect here. You can tell by the massive sort of bat-like wings, it likely has some level of flight that might be limited in this room, but you do know the ceiling is tall enough that it would likely try and get out of the way if someone tried to engage it too close. And you can see your eyes detect, Howdian, that on the edges of the spines, there is a faint liquid dripping out of all of them.
Oof.
Just likely poisonous.
All right. So I I I look back and I whip my hair out of the way. I go, it's very poisonous and cold things probably doesn't hurt it. So, fire and watch out for the spines.
Right, so that'll be your turn. And you said you wanted to move up, right? So that
Yeah.
would put you in immediate range of it.
Lovely.
But and you right now you have its attention until someone else does something to get its attention.
Mm-hmm.
Can I see the tail?
You can see the tail.
Dead
I
eye.
have a guess what you're gonna do.
Oh my God.
I was
Yes.
waiting for that.
Just pull out like I was there for a sting of the tail, and then
Oh.
just loose the arrow.
The shot lands, and with your ability, it's is it auto hit or is it just you have to roll to hit and
Automatically
to
score
incapacit.
triumph with a ranged weapon on a nearby creature or object that you target. The hit disables a targeted limb.
Yes, you do see the end of the tail. It does seem to be askew now, and the creature is not happy about it. Farron, you have the Manticore's full attention now.
Shite.
Yeah, that it took damage from that because it's auto crit, so that's the 4 damage it's going to take from your bow. But so it looks like it took a severe wound from that, but Howdian, it is not paying attention to you anymore. It sees your half-elf friend, and it's not happy about it.
That's fine. I'll get its attention. It's okay.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
Gabriel, you're up.
So Serena is still back with Farron.
Yeah, with Serena is back with Farron.
I don't want it to go in that direction. Is this thing inside the cave, or is it like?
It is inside the cave. It's at the like the edges of where this opening into the cave that you are in right now. It's gone through the tunnel, and now it's like at the edges of this chamber. Essentially, think of it as like one big chamber, really tall ceiling, but overall like actual like width of the room is not very big. That's why the thing is like perpetually going to be nearby to everyone. Because there's not a lot of room to move around in here.
If that's the case, I would like to look at Howdrin and be like, push it back if you can, and then move to the not side where Farron is, like behind How a little bit, not within immediate range, but still nearby, so that it's not looking at Farron and Serena, and then cast Smite.
You're gonna go for this?
I'm gonna go for this. Angela,
okay.
You're crazy.
This not even crazy. It's this is the possibility for this to be a bad idea is quite high.
Yeah.
I mean, rules as written, it's only 5%. Says I, who knows that the Fireburb has ultimate power.
No. So you speak this word or phrase condemning a nearby creature. You can see that you engulf the target in radiant flame, hitting it for 10 HP.
Yep. And there's a drawback, but I'm gonna roll for that. After I say, in the name of the Lady, the Change, the Loving Guardian, and the Fire Hearth, you will not hurt them. And then take the hammer, and this isn't a, like, I imagine it is more like there's a spectral, like, glow around it that just they throw at the thing before it goes up in flames.
As it does, that is enough to take care of the creature.
Oh my god!
Because you did 10 damage with that. It's like a third of your AP to do that, but it's 10 damage.
I was back at full, so.
Wow. All right.
Go on. I will note 2 things happen here. One will be Nim's consequence that they'll have to deal with, which roll for that.
Yes.
But also, what I'm going to say is, as the creature erupts and essentially explodes over the whole cavern, the whole back part of its body is covered in spines. I need everyone to roll a d20.
So I roll twice.
Yeah, you roll twice. I'm going to say the first roll, Nim, will be to save from the spines. The second will be for what happens with Smite.
Okay.
I got a
12.
19.
Okay. Oh. Serena's fine.
It's
I'm
okay.
gonna say your giant friend is just waking up and does not have the faculties to notice, so the spines just
Damn it.
all across her.
I was hoping that spell would wake her up enough.
I mean,
She's this is
is
all
that-
happening very quick.
is that
she's-
an attack? Can I use my counter attack?
Yes, I would. Well, you do have the feature from your glove. Oh no, wait, that stops bladed stuff that's attacking you directly. It's
Mhm.
hitting everyone, unfortunately.
It's something else. It's intercept. I can
Ah.
intercept.
Let's double check that wording real quick, because I know fighter has a lot of nifty little things to it.
Mhm.
Fighter, summon the blood, intercept nearby NPC is about to attack, so maybe rush to intercept the attack. Rules is written that shouldn't work, but I will give you this: if you're willing to take the damage fully, then I'll let it go, because I think that
Wow.
also makes sense.
I will.
So yeah, you all watch as Howdian just rushes in the way, and you just see like two really massive ones piercing into her shoulders and two right in her stomach.
It's like the Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. How much do I take? Just tell me.
It's only 2 damage,
Oh,
because
okay.
it was going to be, because it I'm going to say I would have made it higher, but it's hitting all of you, so that could have been potentially much worse, so we'll only put it at 2. But she didn't have, like, she only has health because Nim put a bunch into her.
Mhm.
So
She had 8, so
yeah, so she could have taken it, but like,
we don't want her
Not-
to take that.
not today.
no, you don't want her to take that. Just, she doesn't look good even after the healing. It still
Yeah.
looks rough.
Yeah.
But Nim, what did you roll?
Well.
Well,
Wow. All right.
oh,
Hmm.
okay. I
That's
didn't
the
think
bad number, right?
My bloodstone dice dislike me.
Wow. That's the bad number.
They've been rolling really well, except for,
Okay. You all watch as the radiant flame explodes. Essentially, the creature disintegrates it entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Only Nim, only you notice that there is a faint pinkish node of energy amidst this radiant light that erupts all across the creature, that follows and it trails back to the hammer. Hello.
Oh, is this the person that I like? Oh, wait, is that the voice from the temple that you said was
Because this one brings
that I pissed off before, that I think you mentioned?
Here's the thing. Normally this ability brings a dark passenger to join you in your mind when you roll a 1.
I'm aware of that.
The creature is mainly bestial, but Nim, you have a strong sense another voice is there and may or may not be the actual one pulling the strings on the creature right now. And they're with you now.
I mean, and I guess it's kind of fair. I kind of did say try me next time, bitch, so
This is a prime example of players reaping, yay! Players sowing. No, sowing, yay! Reaping. Wait, no, I didn't. No,
No, please.
no, please, no. I don't actually. No, I don't want that part. It's like, but yeah, you hear that terrifying voice, but it's just like a whisper right now. It's just very faint. It feels very much like you might have just like heard something that probably wasn't there, but you know something is there.
I'm at 2 hit points.
How do you
Looking at
respond to that?
Nim's just gonna look down at the hammer and be like, I don't suppose if I chuck this thing, you'll leave me alone.
Because I've turned around and I've had my sword in my hands and I'm like, what the hell? You didn't even leave anything for me? All right, I see. Put it back.
While Howdian's saying all that, Nim, to go to full movie cinematography cliche and tropes, you're hearing Howdian talk, but everything else it sounds much quieter. Like you know Howdian is saying something to you and all of that, and you see her talking, but you're hearing like a voice just whispering and saying, "Running away from problems. Is this what you always do?"
Nim just outwardly is kind of blinking and looking around and looking at the hammer, and but in their head they're just like, yeah, pretty much.
Let's see if you'll be able to run away from me. Probably not. I'm here for a while now, and I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. And the voice goes quiet.
And then you hear me go, and then he just exploded, and I didn't even get a chance. I didn't even get his attention. Whatever. All right. Anyways.
Yeah, it's like the audio for you, Nim, it like just kicks back. Like someone just went to the volume knob for Howdian and just suddenly turned it all the way back up.
Yeah.
Well, you mean if you were a quicker draw, it'd be fine. But
wow. All right, Farron. Yeah, I really needed that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You see Serena just kind of like lean over, and all of the floof just kind of like pokes you in the eye, Farron, almost like she moved intentionally to like have her fur like jabbing you in the face. You blow the breath, but the fur just kind of pops back into place for how stiffly it's been blown out. It's just like
Nim is just like, Howdian, don't sell yourself short. You gave us good information on this. Come on, let's sit down and fix what I can fix. Oops.
All right. I go over to I have giant spines in me as well, by the way.
Yeah,
I
that's why
started
Nim's
like
can
ripping them out.
Can we fix this problem first?
Yeah, sure. I ripped one out already. I'm like,
okay, I did copy down.
You do see Howdian, like as the spine gets pulled out, there's a faint kind of greenish liquid leaking out from the wound.
oh.
And you do feel kind of woozy.
Mm-hmm.
Mantle over Serena now, right? Okay.
Serena's. Everyone should, for the most part, be okay. It's mainly the clothing and the gear that's a problem right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, did Howdian's gear like stuff evaporated when the cloak was put on?
Yeah, most of the water on Howdian did.
Okay.
All of the stuff, like the water that was coming from the clothes, just seemed to just evaporate off of them and pull off. The clothes are still not great. They still could probably use a dry for a bit.
Yeah. Nim is going to quickly go back to check on the person the giant who's in the back of the room, because we don't know who they are.
You see the giant stirs and just looks with a certain level of apprehension and fear as for the sake of not being too detailed about it, certain appendages from the Manticore are nearby to her, given the splat effect that just happened because of Nim. So she's a little on edge and unsettled by it.
I was kind of hoping that it would just burn up and,
No, you squish it like a bug. How?
It explodes into ash in its body, and ash permanently obliterated. So yeah, actually, I'll rewind that back. It's just ash. And they're just kind of but they you know what actually she does notice, she notices the spines being pulled out of Howdian is probably the thing she would notice, so she's a little on edge.
Yeah, Nim's going to, I guess, not run, more like walk quickly because ow. And look up and just be like, are you okay?
¿Me has ayudado? ¿Por qué están aquí? ¿Por qué me están ayudando en este momento? ¿Por qué?
Oh,
¿Me entiende? ¿No me entiende? No, no me entiende. Esperen. Does this work?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't normally see folks who aren't giants among the mountains.
It's okay. Looked like you had a rough time.
You could say that.
Are you okay with us getting a fire going?
Yes, no. The warmth is never really a problem for me. The cold has no effect. But
okay.
Where is the creature?
It turned it to ash.
Interesting.
I was gonna put that a little maybe not. Okay, Farron.
It was badass. What do you want me to say?
Nim's going to look over and look a little bit, I guess, greener, not red-faced, and look confused as to how they're getting a compliment from Farron.
Wow, that was like character growth moment and a burn all in one. That's impressive. That's amazing. But you see the giant woman who's gotten up, so she's at her full roughly 21 feet of height. So she's like almost 4 Howdians in height.
Mm-hmm. Almost.
At least 3.5. At least three and a half is what we're at.
Mm-hmm. And so I've now, I think I've finished like pulling the spines out and putting them near the ashes, and I just like kind of shake my head, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's interesting. There's some green stuff that came out with it. Very interesting." And so I kind of like clean up my armor.
Everything's still woozy, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of like standing there, like, you know how you stand up too quickly? You have to like stand there for a moment and catch your vision. That's perpetually what's going on. And she's just standing there and then looking up, and she says, "Hi. It's so good to meet you. My name is Howdian. Hi. I have a question. The world's turning a little bit. That's first of all. Why is it doing that?
That would be the spines, dear. They are quite poisonous. They're designed to incapacitate a creature and ensure that the faculties are not fully to them. That way it makes it easier for the creature to rip it to shreds.
Fun. That would explain it. Okay. And then I just kind of
wear off after an hour. It normally doesn't take that long for the creature to take care of whatever it poisons.
All right, good to know. Good to know. And I just I I just take a seat, but not lightly. It's very much a with the whole armor. And then I look back up and I say, I have another question. So right before you passed out, well, hold on. First of all, who are you? I have manners.
Since
much
when?
spare?
Oh, sorry.
Small folk are quite strange at times.
I can understand. I can understand. Sorry, I didn't catch your name. Who are you, sir?
My name is Elena. Elena Quispe.
Wow. Beautiful name, if you don't mind me mentioning.
Well, thank you.
How do I spell her name?
Really?
Yes, I'm putting it in our Zoom chat.
All right.
This is all you get after that as far as really?
Yes.
What? It's a beautiful name. I love these names. They're cool.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
See what you did there.
Yeah.
You said the frost giant's name is cool, impressive.
Anyway, and then I go, all right. So now to my real question. Ooh, all right. Right before you kind of like passed out, you said a name that that was very interesting to me. Uh, Nilane, do you know that person?
Oh, Milane, yes.
Hmm.
She is a friend.
Ah. Well, that's cool. She's my friend too.
And meanwhile, is going over to Harian and just kind of being like, "Can I look at? Will you take your armor off? You're still wet, and we need to get that off."
Oh, all right, all right. And then she kind of like,
The most alright mom
yeah,
sort of vibe about like Howdian's response I've ever seen a player show.
yep, that's exactly it. Because then she starts like taking it off, but it's like with a lot of like, all right.
That's
And
just
Also-
so dramatic.
It's also, I would say, Nim more than Farron notices like she's not quite like her hands aren't exactly going where she wants them to go. Like that's kind of the disorientation effect kicking in. Like the poison seems to be very much like, and even I'd say maybe even to Farron at this point, it's like Howdian's a little Howdian's Howdian, but this is more than usual.
Mhm. What do you mean dramatic? You're calling me dramatic with your bow and your like.
No, I got flair. This is dramatic.
Oh wow! All right. I see how it is.
That's your great
And, yeah.
distinction. Um.
Just
Okay.
But I'm not
Harian
getting my
just-
breastplate off.
Nim is going over to mostly actually get at the wounds to see if they can clean them out, and dragging like Howdian's pack over to see if any of the stuff is dry at all.
It's like drenched. Most of it is pretty like wet.
Oh, we need dry clothes.
is moist.
Yes, the
Stop that.
proper term might be moist.
I hate it. um.
Carrying on.
Yeah. I can't get my breastplate off, so I just kind of like push it away from my chest to show the wounds.
Nim will be able to. Nim has worn armor before; they'll be able to get it off.
Okay.
Yeah. But Elena is just sort of looking down and overhears Nim mentioning the like eating gear. Perhaps I can be of assistance in that regard.
Oh, That would be cool. That would be awesome. Thank you.
I know of somewhere nearby that we may be safe
All
for
right.
some time if you are willing to meet with a little bit of tension.
We do that all the time. Right? Right, everyone?
I mean, yes, but could we go like a day without any?
Oh, this is fine. I mean, I grew up as a giant. It's fine. It's fine.
How? Okay, just sit. It's okay. Just let me look at you.
All right.
I-
I like sprawl myself open.
I'm gonna take this occasion to just say Serena both like takes a massive paw and like sits you down on the ground and also is providing like fluff pillow for you to be against.
Ah, good. I like lay back to it. A little too rough. A little like, oh, sorry. Oh. All right.
I'm
Anyways.
gonna burn 1 AP for mend. Just to actually, how many hit points did you lose? Was it just 2?
Just two.
Okay. I don't know if there's a first aid here, but I do want to patch.
I'd say roll a d20 to see how successful you are in trying to work at the wounds.
Wait, where'd my d20 go?
I hope you haven't lost it. You needed it for the rest of the session.
Oh, I have several. It's just I was using. Oh, should I
You
still
want to use the
this?
bloodstone again?
No, don't do that. Don't do
I've
that.
been-
Do it.
It's been okay. So outside of me losing doing things and
That's
gaining
very important
a
thing.
horrible eldritch horror in my brain. The bloodstone dice actually usually rolls very well. It rolled very well, except for like once or twice last session. It's just so happens that those once or twice things were the make or break for me not losing my gear.
Mm.
Oh, that's a 13. That's not bad.
That's enough. You do manage to like provide. There's little bits of. I imagine Nim occasionally keeps like little salves and stuff with some of their gear on hand, and do manage to clean up some of the wounds. And Howdian, it does feel a little less like the ceiling is a little too high and everything's a little too far away now.
Okay.
Like it's a little less like
It's a little less the trailing of the room going like this.
Yeah.
This. All right.
things there. You're no longer having the slightly askew portrait effect.
Yeah. Or when
This-
you're a little too drunk and you're in your bed and the ceiling just starts going.
As someone who's done some wilderness first aid, honestly, we just need to get you a lot of water to flush that out of your system.
Farron,
Mm.
you've been trying to say something.
Am I?
No, I thought you were trying to say something. I
No.
saw you like speaking up. Okay, just checking.
Yeah. And then look back down at Serena and be like, you hanging in?
Just sort of like pat, like it like does like a dog like boop on your snoot, like with her one of her paws.
Okay, because I think if we can dry you off, you're going to be one of the only other people that has dry functional gear. Because I think I lost almost everything.
I can get you through the worst of it if you would like.
Yeah, I just need a little bit of a break and to make sure that everybody's stuff is dry. Looking at how.
Mm-hmm. And so you see me just like rubbing my eyes, and I'm like, all right, there I am. Hello. I'm sorry for that. That was weird. Everything just started turning. I like I look over over to Nim. I'm like, everything just started turning. I'm so sorry. That was weird. Anyway, yes. Elena, thank you so much. We need to rest for a little bit, recuperate, regroup, have a little rest, and then I think you could use some too, judging from the form you were in before.
I can manage the creature merely. It was very lucky and was able to get a few of its spines off on me. I will not let it happen again. The master of the hunt cannot be overtaken this quickly or this easily.
Wow.
And you do
Master of the
notice
Hunt.
something that has escaped your view until now. That somewhere against one of the back, like the other axes end of the cavern, there does appear to be a massive axe that is over there
Oh.
that looks as though it's been handmade.
Hmm.
Nim's going
Yeah.
to repress a squeal of "that looks fun." Um,
I mean, I am gonna stand up and just like take a few steps closer to it, and then I go like, oh, may I?
It's sized for her. I should
Uh-huh.
note that for the record.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's just
Are you taking a look or trying to wield it? Is what
taking
I'm
a
asking.
look.
Oh,
Just taking
okay,
a
okay.
look.
I thought you were trying to wield it. I'm
No,
like, I should make this
absolutely not.
clear. This is not a normal sized axe. This
No,
is
no,
sized
just
for her.
taking a look. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
May I
you
take a
can't.
look? All right.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I go closer to it and I kind of like start feeling the metal and kind of smelling it because it smells so much like like back in the days before yeah, everyone in the cave is like excuse me.
Oddly enough, for you, Howdian,
Mhm.
it smells exactly like home.
Oh.
Like here's the thing. You've seen other replicas of people who like imitate the kind of techniques that you know go into actually like warping the metal and like refining it to a process that is actually suitable for usage in like constructing and making weapons from like armorers and blacksmiths. This looks like something from your home.
Oh
This
shit.
is a fire giant make.
Did that um did that town have a particular name that I know of?
We didn't decide one. If you have a name you would like,
I don't. Maybe you do. Maybe you have a something.
how about Avaros?
Cool. That's amazing. I love it. And so I like I I feel it, I smell it, and then I look back over. Is this from Avaros Make?
Yes, it is actually. It is
That's
um, it is something that Cecilia was involved in making herself.
wow. That that's amazing. Um are you gonna lead us there?
I can. I don't know how well your presence will be met. What sort of reaction people will have to your presence there. But we have been discussing bringing in more people as of late.
I I kind of like take my arms and I'm like that's nice. I would like to go there. Um I would like to go there very much. So if you could lead us there, that would be amazing.
It will take a bit of time, and we'll still need to navigate some of the blizzard if we go now. Waiting it
Mm.
out, I cannot guarantee the blizzard will calm down. As of late, it has been a bit more difficult,
Hmm.
and I imagine Marbell is in part to blame for the recent shift, but something about this also seems not of his doing.
Hmm. Yeah, we met him before. Uh very um very nice. Well, in the end, we we accidentally invaded his cave. So,
He is very protective of his siblings. He is only he's only had the few years to adjust to his mother's loss, and for dragons, such a time is like taking in a breath.
yeah.
Okay. I that's If everyone else wants to go now, we can. We need to make sure that people are dried off.
I look to Farron. I
I
say,
got
well,
it.
you, yeah,
And so, like, I assume everyone's like stuff is just like in a pile that's wet.
I mean, we'd wanna spread it out so that
Yeah,
way.
make sure it doesn't like get worse.
hmm
And just use the burn again to just dry the clothes.
Yeah, it's
Portable hair dryer.
essentially. I hadn't thought of it in that way, but it kind of works for Farron if you imagine it as just like it is just a portable hair dryer.
I mean, they are just full of hot air, so
I
Oh.
mean, accurate. That's not even
Yeah,
a
I
pun.
was
That's
just-
just accurate.
I honestly, the only time I can imagine them casting that on themselves is just to be like,
yeah.
It's the full L'Oreal like shampoo commercials. It's just like
Yes. Mm-hmm.
you
Yep.
just know that every time they use it to actually do damage, you could like pull the arrow back and just say, "Feel the burn," and then let it go.
and you have to every time you fire the arrow to do it. It's just.
Yeah.
Anyways, continuing on. So
Maybe they're bored with it.
maybe it's ranger sorcery.
Yes.
I don't know.
Maybe it's anxiety.
Ah. Oh my God.
no. Okay, so are we
Fantasy. Back into
staying?
fantasy.
Yeah,
Back into
yeah.
Are
fantasy.
we staying
Escape reality.
or
Yeah,
are
that's the
we-
question I was going to ask. Are folks wanting to head out now, or do you want to try and wait? I'll put it to you this way. Leaving now, you know at least one manticore is gone, and you don't know where the other one is. But with the wolves gone and the manticore not heading back, its mate or its mom or whatever the heck that bigger version of it is, isn't going to know. If you wait, the blizzard might calm down, and traversal might be easier. But there is a possibility that the wolves and the bigger manticore might be coming your way.
Mm-hmm. I
like right now, or
I can heal us all a little bit, just about 3 HP. But that's more than nothing.
how?
You still have the regroup function where if you wanted to take just an hour, I think it's about an hour break, you have the 5 points for your day you can spend to recover.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to take the time to do that. And if you spend all 5 of them, you don't have any more for the rest of the day. Is the way that like I've retooled that rule to be for us. That way you get a little bit more flexibility for when you want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that is the group's call.
Yeah, I have like the summon the blood feature that I can use.
I have mend, but that's one. It's 1 AP for everyone, but it brings back 5. I don't know how. I don't know how.
Farron's
other
fine.
people-
Serena is still in doggo form.
Okay, and how only lost 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd like to regroup because that would kick me up a little bit. If I spent all 5.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I can only use this ability when we regroup. So it's a regroup, and then you regain 3 additional.
Yeah. So if the group wants to do that, or if you want to stay, you need a decision. Do you want to
We can
regroup and head out, or do you want to wait for the night and try the next
if we
day?
can regroup and head out, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. What about you, Farron?
I don't mind waiting.
Okay. So the group will recover, and then Howdy and will use summon the blood.
Yes. All right. Well, it's what do I have to do? I must recite a poem at the table. I found one that's very cool.
Right ahead.
In the ocean of divine words, offerings of shelter, in the shell, a song. And then you regain 3 HP. That's from June Perkins. It's called
Nice.
Shell Song. That's very
Delightful.
cool. But yeah, so everyone who needs it regains 3 HP, additional HP, and then
Okay, you
stop
see
it.
Nim go from like looking like absolute horrible with similar wounds to the giant. I don't know if the giant noticed that at all.
She did.
Was it they, he, or she?
She and they.
She
Mostly
and they.
she.
Okay. Yeah, but everyone had just seen him go from absolutely horrendous looking to full health.
Nice.
I will say, Nim, while you're taking the chance to try and rest, you do hear the voice creep up again. Is it nice having quiet time in your own head for once?
You're assuming my head's quiet. Ever.
Resting. Fair. Would you like this all to get much worse?
No, I don't think anyone wants that.
Shame. It probably will.
Nim's just sitting over there in the corner talking to himself.
Farron is definitely like because Harry keeps doing the poems whenever they do that ability. Farron is definitely just like exchanging limericks with Harry.
That's good. Oh my god, I love it.
That's an amazing way to imagine that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like two folks are chatting, cold doggo trying to get warm, and then Nim is just over there just like, fuck off, deal with you, go away.
Yep.
Nim is just petting Serena and being like, "Can you not? I mean, I have other voices in my head that want screen time. Okay."
I don't think they're gonna get much. I think I'm gonna be the one leading this production for this time. You have me for a while.
Good thing I don't live that long.
Now that's so. Don't worry. We're gonna make sure you last as long as possible.
Shit, there goes retirement.
Well, how else would I get to have my fun and enjoy myself with you if you just die right away?
I don't know, buddy. Your call.
And the voice calms down. It just seems to just pipe up and just be the like metaphorical like devil on the shoulder every now and then, just to be a dick.
Just to be a dick.
Why can't I just picture this voice just whenever like them like barely gets off to sleep, has like an hour's rest. It's just good morning, Vienna.
Damn.
It's
That's
just Robin
do-
Williams
do
at that
Eldritch-
every time.
Do
Oh.
Eldritch horrors watch bad TV? Is that just why they're bad at everything?
No, they have they're bad at everything because all of their original writers are terrible people.
You're not wrong. Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
no, but legit.
Oh, Serena gets to hear this entire one-sided conversation.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's probably just like
That's going to be an interesting.
So is Serena just doing that dog thing? Just
Pretty much. I assume she's not going to get out of it while she's comfy. But
yeah,
yeah,
Nim's just petting and trying to get the rest of the water off.
but yeah, the rest ends. The group is able to continue on. The blizzard is still in full effect right now. But Elena looks like she has a sense of where she can go, but it will take you a little bit of time. So, I need from the group 3 people. It could be the same person multiple times, or it could just be everyone do it once and provide something that you do to try and make navigation easier. As right now, you're still dealing with the effects of the cold. It is hampering your sight lines. Trudging through the snow is very difficult, and you also need to keep an eye out to see if the wolves come back or if something from above comes at you. And you also have to be mindful of sound because of the avalanche you experienced before. Farron has an idea.
Can I be using that like hot air burn to just like clear snowdrifts that are a bit too difficult to push through?
Yeah, roll me a d20, and we'll see how successful you are in doing that amidst the blizzard. It might only be work for the purposes of your journey, and that would be a success. But a failure might be like it's just ineffective, and you'll need to do something else, and your journey will take longer.
It's a
What did you roll?
15.
15 will do it. It's you. Tell me if I'm wrong in imagining this. Like Farron is just like, all right, you little shit. You're going to cooperate with me this time and not burn the fucking lilies. And just like trying to like blow the air, and this time you have much more control over it. Like you're able to like just blow on different patches. Like it gets cold for your face anytime you're rapping, so you have to like pull it down and do the
Yeah.
but you're able to clear some tracks of snow, and it does make the journey a lot easier at some parts. It's one success.
Awesome.
Elena is a little at the whole thing, but is like impressive.
Mm-hmm. Nim, you have anything?
You can go first. I'm trying to think.
All right. I'm thinking of like getting out of my bag like a thin piece of fabric that you can look through fairly easily, and putting that in front of my eyes and making it a little better to like see fully, because the wind and everything is so harrowing on your eyes. I try to make it lighter on my eyes so I can look around better and like watch out for any
For anything that's coming.
obstacles. Yeah, anything that's coming.
All right, roll d20, and we'll see how successful you are in keeping a watchful eye about things around you.
Please.
Please, please.
15.
Okay. You do, it's very faint, and Elena, for the most part throughout it, she is able to notice a lot of different creatures. And there's a couple moments where she manages to get you beneath some trees, like that suddenly spring up at some parts of the path that are tall enough to cover her, but even amidst that, above them, you hear the sound of a lion like roar through the wind, and she holds you back. But while she's focusing on that, you also notice that there is another pack of wolves that's heading in your direction, and you are all also able to like just maneuver the group out of the way and at a slow enough pace to be like, don't interact, don't interact, don't interact. Just keep it. You keep level-headed. Essentially, the years of training that you've had with working in very strenuous combat situations, there's like a moment where like the howls get really close, and there's a slight level of just worry that creeps into the group, and you keep everyone calm. It's 2 successes. You need one
Amazing.
more.
I'll try.
Okay.
I think Nim, aside from like hiding next to Serena, would be because they still have they didn't get wet, so they still have all their heavy clothes on, like the heavy winter clothes. They just are down a lot of gear. If there are any patches of ice, they would do the like use the because they have the pick side of the warhammer, so they just kind of use that as a Yeah. Yeah.
Just like tapping each bit to make sure, because you do come across another patch of thin ice.
Yeah, this time we're gonna try this. They probably still would ask Haurian for rope, but they'd
Let's give it
go
a shot.
across it.
Roll d20.
That's a 12.
That is a pass. There is a very tense moment where you see your frost giant companion is looking at the massive patch of ice with some level of suspicion, and your journey is slowed a fair bit, but you manage to like test a big enough area for her to traverse. And
Amazing.
you continue on, and you see the mountain range and the valleys that connect them. They just keep sprawling on for just miles upon miles. And she says, and she comes to amidst to like you reach more of a lower altitude overall, and you're in front of what looks like empty space for the most part. Like maybe another mountain could fit in between this and the next mountain range, but it's like a huge distance between them. We're here.
I'm assuming here is meant to be the middle of fucking nowhere.
For a hunter, you seem to take your eyes at face value, dear friend.
That's because I'm used to hunting in a forest, not in the mountains.
You need to learn to be more flexible and adapt, and not always trust just what you can see, but what your sense is. And you see her grasp up. Before she does this, you see her reach into deep beneath the shawl that she's been carrying, that she's been wearing throughout all of this, and she pulls out a necklace that, even amidst the blizzard and such, it radiates with an interesting and familiar red, yellow, and orange glow to it, very akin to that of the mantle that one of you is wearing and the other items you received from the primeval maiden. And she holds her hand up, and you hear words spoken in a giant's tongue. And she presses her hand to this. And I will make this reference for anyone who has played that game, but for anyone who has ever played Final Fantasy VIII, where you go to one of the cities that's hidden behind the mirage, it's like, imagine a stone falling into the water and the ripples happen when the stone hits the water. Imagine that, but it's like whole sections of the space you see just start peeling away, and a whole nother mountain appears before you.
Okay, point taken.
And you see, while there's in some ways bits of slopes and incline, not too far off. For those who are interested in looking it up, if you know what Machu Picchu looks like in Peru and such, with the kind of like stepstone patterns that the buildings have, massive like steps between them, and these sort of like stone kind of architecture, almost kind of like hacienda or like pueblo style from like Mexico. You see buildings in the distance, what looks like the start of a village, that you see humanoids who look normal size from this distance, which, given perspective, you know many of them must be massive in height. And you also see the beginnings throughout all of the sort of slope and winding up. It almost looks like there's patches of like frost lilies again, and that you can see in the distance as some folks go up it. Some of them in various mobility, making use of various kinds of mobility devices. There are some that are like hand forged, like there's almost like steel and other metals that have been used to create different kinds of like wheelchairs and other mobility devices. Whenever the devices pass over these patches of frost lilies, the lilies adapt to create slopes for the wheels to actually be able to pass along, so that folks can, like more easily accessible, get up the steps. So even though it has that kind of design, it's almost like the earth and everything itself molds and shifts in order to actually like allow folks of various kinds of like mobility ranges to make it up to higher areas. And it looks as though in the distance you can see there are folks who are working on crafting the lays and others who are tweaking aspects of the mountain itself to make it easier for folks to get up. And you see this thriving village, while in its beginnings, is what awaits you. And she says, "Welcome to the giant's home." And she starts leading you up. And with the discovery of this glamoured, hidden giant home amidst the mountains of a warrior's downfall, that is where we're going to take our break.
Yay. Oh, I'm
So
so excited.
we'll be back very shortly, everyone, and we'll see you real soon in about 10 minutes.
Heck yeah. See you later. Goodbye.
Hello again, wonderful people, internet travelers, traversers, and just the weirdos who decided to join us and watch all of this because we're weird and they enjoy our company. Hi, welcome back to Plains of Providence, our Quest RPG campaign here on the Heroes Without Limits Twitch channel. We are picking up again with the party having just had revealed to them the glamored location of a hidden terraced, essentially community and mountain of giants. And the party is taking a moment to just be in awe of secret mountain giant village. If any of you start singing Secret Tunnel, I swear to God.
I came that
I
close.
swear to God. I saw the face, Jace. Don't
I was
test me.
maintaining control over the urge.
Do not quote the old magic at me. I was there when it was written.
Secret tunnel.
Oh, Twitch is getting mad at everyone for anything music related. Damn it. Continuing on, you do see some of the terrace. The interesting thing about the village you can see in the distance, as Elena has offered, if you are amenable to it, to help carry some of you on her shoulders, as they are broad enough they could probably hold all of you. Depends if you're okay with the heights.
Is it okay if Serena just lets me hide in the floof?
We're going to say yes for now. Serena will decide that next time. But
Okay.
I'm sad Jen will not be here for this because NPC and location description time. One of the things that stands out to you amongst all of the terraces and all of the people that are here are that, one, there is a distinct large amount of giants and giant kin here. But there are also quite a large number of elves here as well. And even more interestingly, across all of the terraces and the buildings, there seems to be almost 6 distinct sections to the entire village, in which different communities of giants of varying heights, of varying features, of varying backgrounds are all there. To give you a sense of the garbs and such for some of them, many who seem to have, let's see, this over here because it's going to take a little bit to get all this description. You see some of the tallest ones, roughly around, let's go with 26 feet tall. So like almost a full person, like average person's height, taller than Elena. You see some folk who seem to have long hair. Many of them, a very distinct trend amongst a lot of different communities is there's very distinct single braided hair, but folks have done it in different kinds of styles. And there's this common dress of like these pleated kind of skirts, massive sort of like petticoats and shawls, but the colorations and the patterns to all of them differ. There's various kinds of color ranges that go more on like plain kind of whites and reds, to some of them have more flowers around the collars and around the tops of the petticoats, to the shawls having distinct kind of like zigzagging stripe kind of patterns, to some folks having almost kind of like headpieces that they almost look like kind of clouds are just hanging above their heads at every given moment. Some of them crackle with lightning and thunder at some points. Some folks you see, that it almost looks like they're working in metallurgy and armory based works, where it looks as though they're deeply red skinned, and there's just a natural heat around them. And they look as though some of them are comparing and sharing like massive blades, axes, shields, bits of armor. You see some folks who are more involved in gardening or in helping set up a lot more of the terraced agriculture here, who have a little bit more. Let's see, stone giant. These ones seem to have more red stripes with a black color base. The body diversity also seems to vary amongst different folks. Some are a little bit more lean. Some folks are a little bit more kind of like barrel chested or stocky or broad shouldered. There are occasional folks who like the hairstyle seems to change to more like, let's be real, like just very blatant what you imagine a butch lesbian looks like in terms of the haircuts and such. But there's also a variety. Uh, yes, chat. I will use Avarosa's name just for a village because I am God and you cannot stop me. That's how that works. Anyways, there's a couple of things regardless of the differences amongst all the individuals: body types, gender presentations, activities they're focused on. Very distinct, deep brown and reddish tones to the skin. Many of them deep kinds of black hair, some more curly, but many of them often in the braids. And again, that same kind of pleated skirt, petticoat, and shawl kind of outfit with different, what seem to be cultural variations. And again, all of the giant kin that you see here, varying heights that go anywhere from the shorter ones being only about 16 feet tall to the tallest ones being about 26 feet tall. So about anywhere from like roughly 5 meters to like 8 meters in height. And below them, you see what look like a lot of different elven folk who are here as well, and occasional other giant kin, so the equivalent of like furbolgs, and some dragon kin as well, a lot more on the white scale skinned kind of side. And there is a thriving community here. It looks as though there's varying folks with mobility devices of various kinds as well, just wandering around. And amidst some of the gardening, away from where the main agriculture is happening, there's little patches of almost what looks like kind of like lavender blooms. And it looks as though people are stopping by every now and then. Some folks who look as though they're having like difficulty like with movement, they stop and it's almost like the flowers bloom in response to them, and they let out just little puffs of like lavender. It, for lack of a better term, it's a naturalistic stim zone, but more based around like they're like comfort sort of zones, and they're more they're not olfactory. I think it's olfactory for smell. I'm forgetting the word. Yeah, more olfactory based. But this is a thriving terrace community among the mountains. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It looks so cool. I didn't even know that this was here, and I I grew up with the giants.
Yes, it is not something we have tried to make public to people as of yet. We are relatively new when it comes to being together like this.
I understand. I understand. And I I'm on her shoulders. I kind of like look down. And do I see people of my kin? Yes.
Yeah, you also see what looks like folks who probably you didn't know them, but you saw them around your own hometown as well.
Yes. All right. Uh I I try and wave to them even though they probably don't see me or probably busy with other stuff. But that's fine. Um
You are drawing attention as Elena is still recovered mostly, but still kind of hurt from before, and there are folks noticing the strangers on her shoulders.
mhm. Um
Nim is just like Nim is trying to go back to being on the ground wherever they are. I forget whether they were
I think they were on the ground with Serena and the
Serena.
doggo fur.
Yeah.
I don't know if Farron was up on the shoulder or on the ground as well.
I mean, like, yeah, they probably would have been. Just they can like do the whole Assassin's Creed swanton bomb dive off the shoulder if need be.
Damn it.
Uh,
But yeah, you see there's people around.
Yeah, so I'm with Farron and I start pointing people out. I'm like, "Oh, I know that person. Oh, it's good to know they're good."
Yet they don't look particularly friendly.
Well, we are drawing lots of attention. But it's fine. I know how to be a diplomat. It's fine. Don't worry.
Fair.
It just gives a look that just says press X to doubt.
Yes. Uh-huh. That's fine.
um yeah, Nim is just kind of looking around and being like, okay, is there a spot we could say that people wouldn't mind? Or I I know we had to do something.
I mean, we're bringing our friend back. I say from the top of the giant. You probably don't hear me. It's fine.
Is
I
there
think-
like an inn or
There is a possibility of granting you a place here to rest, but I think it would be for the best that you meet with the rest of the leaders first to
Oh.
establish yourselves here so that we make certain your intent is good.
someone just tell me to stop talking if I start rambling then?
I will. Don't worry. It's fine.
It's fine. If you're sad and Serena will just tell her to roll over.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, I just keep taking in the sights and how cool it is here and how awesome. I like it.
You do see again more of your kinfolk here, folks of various backgrounds. You see some who likely probably more like Farron grew up near the woods. There are some folk who obviously look like they're more adjusted to the mountains. There are some folk who have the look of people who are like altitude sickness is a thing and this sucks. And the interesting thing is the climate has entirely changed in the village. Like the whole area in which the mountain is glamored, you don't see blizzard, you don't see frost, at least not right now. it looks as though each of the different sections of the village have been styled to be more akin to the kinds of climates many of those of the giant kin who come from who are predominant in that section would be more comfortable with. And you also note that there is some tension that is permeating throughout. You do see some folks looking as though they want to get into a fist fight with each other, and it ranges from just some of the elves to some of the other giant kin. Some of the folks who aren't quite the same height as the shortest of the giants, but are still inclined. You see a two-headed giant kin who looks ready to like argue, and then before the fight can break out, starts arguing with each of his own heads, and then starts trying to fight with himself, and then before realizing that it's not going to get him anywhere. You do see, interestingly enough, there are some orcish and some goblin folk here as well. Once again, you see, and some human and half elves who are here. They're very scant, but there's a lot of folk. There's a lot of different kinds of folk here, but the ones who aren't giants are distinctly far less in number than the giant kin who are here. And they have the same kind of almost touristy look that all of you have.
Wow. All right. Being called tourist already, I see. I kind of like I turn to Elena and I go, so how did this community start? Like I see so many different people. Well, how did they get here, and how was this started?
Well, it's a rather difficult thing to pin down in any one way, but I would say that Lydia was one of the people to spearhead us coming together like this. She wished for the conflicts that had been happening between all of our peoples to just end. I do not know if you've heard of these stories of giant kin, but for many of us, we've often had it said about us that we are brutes. We are often people inclined to simply indulge in combat for its own sake and think nothing else about the well-being of others. And this is often false. In reality, we've cared about ensuring that we survive, that our cultures live. Many of us do not remember our first homes, and being here in this continent, in this realm, in fact, is difficult. And so for many years we held to conflicts as to who deserved to be here. And as with most conflicts of hierarchy and of status, they're often filled with folly. And many lives have been lost in needless conflicts that need not have happened. So, Lydia was one of the first to suggest that we try and make amends with one another, and this is the result of that.
Seems to be going okay, at least.
It is a work in progress. I cannot tell you how often myself and some of the other leaders butt heads over things. Cecilia and I are quite inclined to fight the most over things. I imagine we share that sort of fire and stubbornness that I think she at times thinks only belongs to someone like her.
We need to we do need to talk to leader people.
Yeah.
There was a thing
Yeah.
that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else talk for me. I have no idea what I'm doing.
It's fine. We'll talk about that we'll talk about it when we get there, I guess. But good to know that the community is doing good, and good to hear you are all trying to make amends, because I mean I have heard some stories of my friends, the fire giants. They're that's what, yeah. I heard some things, not all good and not all bad, but
so you must be who Nilani was speaking of.
is she here actually?
Just wait. And
Oh.
she takes you down. She goes up a few a few sections of the terraced sort of living arrangement of the village, and then proceeds to go down into almost like a deep trench that happens on another side of the mountain into a massive cave that's roughly, we'll say, about like 15, 20 feet in width, 30, 40 feet in height. This is massive. This is big, and you think it just gives enough room for some of the taller folk who you've seen to get by,
Mm.
and it's easily like 10 times the height of someone like Nim. I will call for them. Just wait here.
All right.
And you see her walk in, the pleated skirt just flapping behind her as she goes. And she tightens the shawl around her, and you see the massive battle axe on her back still seems to not have been put into much use as of late. Still covered with frost. And you hear some conversation reverberating through and echoing in the caves. You hear roughly 6 voices speaking. Many of them animated, one of them very distinctly not very happy. But you then hear Elena's voice say, "You may come in. We would like to see you all."
You see me. First of all, I have a big smile on my face, and then I start polishing up my armor, and then I turn to Farron. I say, how do I look? Do I look okay?
What kind of a question is that?
How do I look? Do I look okay? Does it look shiny?
Yeah, you look like a shiny coin.
Okay, cool. That's good. Cool.
Trust me, that manticore will have a fantastic fucking target when you walk out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. All right. And then I walk forward and I say, "Come on, everyone. Come on, let's go."
Why does this feel like lamb to the slaughter?
You would look over and Farron just be like, I don't think that's the case. I don't know that I want to bet on it, though.
Neither do I, because I just end up being right.
Damn.
I just looked over at the chat.
Nim is
and I
genuinely
regretted it.
amused. That was not. Nim is genuinely amused.
It's
That's
not that. I looked over at the chat at the wrong moment and was. Even when Nova's gone, I can't get away from the puns. Secret of Nim.
Oh my god. Hold on.
Oh.
I just got that.
You forgot the H.
Oh.
Anyways,
Anyway.
you walk into a chamber and you see deep within it there is a faint glow. At first it looks like a fire, but the coloration is blue and white. And it is a roaring flame, but the flame seems to be made of crystal. And you see inside, there are not 6 individuals, but there are 7. This will take a moment as I give you a full description of each.
Yeah.
I will go shortest to tallest in this. That's easiest. You see one with greenish tints to deeply bronze colored skin, a strapless and rounded collar dress with multiple colors, represented by flower patterns with intermittent red stripes and a black color base. A little bit more on the stocky side, and looks as though even her hands seem like they're stained with dirt, and like there's little bits of like seeds along the hem of the dress and around her sleeves. You see one who similar kind of skin tone. The dress is off-white and mixed with a tunic of blue flowers and almost kind of masonry styled art decorations sewn into an outfit, and a headpiece that looks like a bushel of flowers with kind of a thin shape to them and light red colors. It's a very athletic kind of build, and the hands are very rough and calloused. Look almost like someone who's probably done something like masonry or architectural sort of work, someone who's worked very heavily with their hands. You see one blood red and fiery red orange top with a lower dress skirt that's a mix of bright yellows and whites that match the color patterns of a fire increasing in heat. Deep red flower patterns near the hem, and a headpiece that's more like a metallic mantle worn around the neck, and it looks kind of like armor, and the skin is a little bit deeper reddish brown tone to it. It's one that definitely Howdian has seen similar folk. You see Elena there with her aura of frost and snowflake around her body, and you see two other figures who stand out before the third catches Howdian's attention. But the other two figures, you see one who is the fire giant, one is 18 feet tall. The two shorter ones are 18 and 16 feet tall. Helena is about 21 feet tall. Standing a few feet taller than her is someone who has hair that looks like it's made of clouds, but it's down the front in a long braid. Deep black dress, top with a ring of blue and white flowers near an open strapless collar and hem of the dress, and a headpiece that's like a flower wreath that darkens and lightens in response. Almost it seems like as she smiles, it brightens, and as she seems to get more pensive, the color dims. And last but not least, the tallest among them, hair that falls past the shoulders, crackling lightning and thunder around it, wisps of blue and white that lighten a head of black and white hair, a tattered dress that seems not quite as well put together as the rest of them, and a walking stick nearby that's also could very well be a massive club. And a headpiece that is white, yellow, and blue flowers assembled into almost like a conical shape that sits on her head and occasionally seems to float at random. And if you want to face reference, if you look up Yalitza Aparicio, who is a first Mexican indigenous actress, first major indigenous actress from Mexico to get star in a film. That's what she looks like. If you want to, so Yalitza. But you see all six of these figures, and Howdian sees a seventh figure immediately because it is Nilane, who seems to have been in the middle of giving a kiss on the cheek to the other fire giant, and then notices you and seems to be ready to like run towards you to like pick you up, and then sort of catches a look from the shortest, the stone giant, the hill giant one, and is just, like gets a look that it's like, you better not fucking dare.
No. Instead, I just go,
Just like,
yeah.
I just lead across to Harry and it's like, well, this is a nice and warm reception.
It is. Don't worry.
I wouldn't worry till you said that.
Well, then don't. Shh.
you see the tallest among them step forward, one whose hair crackles with lightning and thunder.
So cool.
My name is Lydia Huayas. I am the leader of those who control the storms. We are those who lead the covens and groups here and clans of giants that have lived in safety here on Agni. What purpose brings you here?
Um, I I first of all I make like a greeting to Abira, and I make a bow, um, and I go, uh, we come not to cause harm. Uh, we are only here to, um, well, we are actually here to prevent harm, uh, from happening further. And I try to step like a little closer. I assume we're like across the room.
I mean,
Um,
yes. Like their paces, it would take like 2 paces for them to get over to you. For you, it's like across the room
yeah, and
because
so yeah,
breadth of step is a thing.
yeah, and so I take careful steps closer, and I try to get within, let's say, about 100 feet, or maybe 50, 75. How about
As you
75?
as you try and move forward,
Hmm.
you see the shortest among them just sort of sets a massive club down. We did not say that you could move forward to us.
I
Stay where you are.
I stay where I am, and I kind of look down, and I say, my most humble apologies.
And you see the one with cloudy hair look towards the smallest of them and say, Yalitza, we do not need to be rude to them. They have not shown us ill intent as of yet. And from what Elena tells us, they have been helpful. And you see, when again, the stone giant one replies, we do not know that they have been helpful. How do we not know that Elena is still being bothered by them in some capacity? How do we not know that they were the ones who caused this to Elena?
Fair. I say that out loud.
We
Fair.
we have seen many of them, many travelers come through the mountains and claim some level of peace when they in fact were inciting war.
Does
I
it really look like the three of us could incite a fucking war?
I look back to Fair and I say, "Shut up."
Yeah, you see the fire giant one like set down a massive. You've seen great swords before. This is what for the biggest human you've ever met. This would be like proportionally wielding like a buster sword for them,
Mhm.
but for her, it looks like a buster sword for her.
It's a greater sword.
It's a greater buster sword. It's not a great sword exactly. It's a greater sword.
Yes.
That is what
Like
we call a big fucking sword.
Yes.
yes, we,
Big
we
metal
refer to it in the
swingy
biz as
boy.
the BFS.
Oh, yeah.
It's an alternative until we get the BFG going.
Yep.
With that being said, she's like, I think it would do you well to calm your friend.
I think so too. I think so too. Don't we, Farron? Don't we?
I mean, it's bothers you to assume we're friends.
Wow. All right. You know what? Don't
Like,
just ignore him.
I'd say
I-
probably an acquaintance more than anything, but I mean, come on,
I-
like, you could step on us and we'd be dead in 2 seconds. Like, we're hardly a threat, are we?
Can we not
to
offer
to
that?
be from what I've been told from what we've been told this morning, your smallest of friends had managed to disintegrate an entire manticore by themselves. So I think it's rather presumptuous of you to think we haven't learned to not judge what our eyes solely tell us.
There's 7 of you and there's 3 of us.
Farron.
Even on a good day, we are outnumbered.
Farron. Farron. Stop.
Farron, I would
Stop.
like you to roll me a d20 to see how this lands, to whether they take it as cheeky or they take it as endearing.
Natural 20.
Oh.
So
Oh.
I make y'all roll for this. There is an audible like couple of beats where it's just you see the shortest one. She seems like she's getting to grasp this massive club, and you see the fire giant is like just looking at you with like the most serious look anyone's ever given you. It's a I'll put it to you this way, in a way that Farron definitely gets. You've seen a parent give you that look many a time before.
Oh, now I'm just picturing my mother. Thanks. Oh,
Yes. Yes, that's what we're gonna go with.
just that withering.
Yes. But
Oh my
immediately
gosh.
afterwards, and you see that Yalitza like calls out to the fire giant. It's like, Cecilia, what? We can't trust them, can we? Well, what reason do we have to trust them? And Analia, do we have any reason to trust them? And sort of and says and indicates to the stone giant one, Analia. And you just hear this really big laugh emerge from the last giant who hasn't spoken as of yet. The one who has the wispy cloud like hair. I like this one. He's so small, yet he's filled with humor far bigger than his own size.
Yeah, we'll call it humor. Sure. Um,
Well, if it's not humor, it's certainly gumption at the very least, and I, for one, am fond of it. We, everyone, we don't need to be worried. He's right. He's right. We very well could crush them if we had the interest to do so, and but also I don't think they quite know how to use. Sorry, I think I used he in reference earlier. So I don't think they quite are skilled enough to use even that bow that they have.
don't.
Okay, now that's just offensive.
Okay, wait, whoa. Look, I didn't I don't know what she told you, but I just didn't want her getting hurt anymore. I didn't want anyone getting hurt anymore. Look, like
It's
just
fine.
this motioning to the person that we helped, and then like holding out their own like really tattered shirt that has legitimately the same pockmarks probably that
Elena's outfit
Elena's had. Like I can do some things, but I just wanted people to be safe.
And your intentions are well read and believed by at least myself. Everyone, let's take a breath. We do not need to give in to raw paranoia or suspicion as of yet, though we have every right to. From what I can understand, Elena is safe, and we were all worried and beginning to think we would need to send out a party to check on her. I think it's more than fair to give them a chance to speak their case, and then, should they be lying, Lydia will know. Fair, everyone?
Sounds amazing. Even though this was a far much different way of diplomacy, it worked. So you know, I kind of look with a strenuous look towards Farron.
What? It saved all the piss assing about.
Sure, all right. Anyways,
You hear the club hit the ground, the great club, just. And there's like, you hear a rumble and it echoes because it's a deep cavern. And the shortest of the giants just looks dead, like daggers at Farron. State your purpose. And you see the other 5 leaders just kind of like turn to her and like have the look of like trying to chastise her, but she's just like not having it.
all right.
Do you know that
Why?
just seems a little unnecessary?
Oh my god. Shh.
I currently
Be
find your
respectful.
presence in this cave unnecessary. Would you like to see how far and how easily I can make you unnecessary?
Nim actually at this point is going to run in front of the group, and this is completely hilarious because
The smallest in comparison.
and it's just kind of going to like put their arms not facing but out to the side so that they're not reaching for their hammer, and just be like, no, wait, we're not here to bother you. We're here because there are these things that the emissaries from the other planes don't want around. They're trying to hurt and break portals that aren't supposed to be here. We fought some at in the primeval garden in the temple to Zahara. We're just here because we heard that they were coming here to do something, probably open another rift in a temple or a weak spot. I don't know. We're just here to try to find them and stop them. They have these weird little animal things that look like horrible tar covered sharp limbed dogs, and they wear dark cloaks and are made of this really weird gooey things and lots of eyes.
There is a moment of pause, and you see them all turn, and there's conversation, which of course echoes because they're much bigger and much more dulcet tones. But there are so many voices that it's a little overstimulating, probably for most of the group.
Mm-hmm. I kind of go over to Nim, and I kind of like, I pull them back a little. I say, that was good. That was good. Thank you.
Nim's just nodding and holding their hands over their ears.
You see them all turn, especially the smallest one, and just sort of look like expectantly towards the tallest, towards the one who gave the name Levia. And you see her eyes grow pale white, like entirely white. And you watch as there are like storm clouds around her hair that grow, and the lightning seems to crash down in like certain little bits across her dress. And then the eyes go faint and back to what they were before. They are not lying. And I sense that the trouble these creatures they speak of is real. And I sense they're going for somewhere quite in particular.
And the trouble isn't, it's significant. It's end of the world significant. We were tasked to handle this. So yeah, we really need to. And any information on where they could strike would be amazing.
The hearth. It is. It is a place we have been constructing as part of our move here to lay to rest those of our kin who did not survive the journey. It is a place of deep respect for those who have passed. I sense something is wishing to disturb it. And I have seen these creatures. Many have seen these creatures, and I sense they may in fact be responsible for what has been happening to the caves nearby, to our kin's homes.
Hmm.
what names do you give to us now? What are your names?
Oh, my name's Haurian. I make a small bow again.
Brash one, what is your name?
You may call me Farron.
I'm Nim. It's nice to meet you.
I will say Serena has moved away from doggo form so that she can actually give her name. It's not a
Yeah.
lingering, there's just been a giant doggo following you.
I think she would have transformed out of doggo form.
Yes.
Is this I don't want to disturb any work that's being done there. But if we can protect it, maybe they can't get to it.
Mm-hmm.
You see them turn to one another and they begin talking for a bit. And a few minutes pass. And as they stop, Lydia turns to you again. We will offer you this chance to aid us, if you are willing. If these two creatures pose as great a threat as you say they do.
Yes, we would love to.
And I mean, to be fair, as far as we're aware, we're the best ones at killing them so far.
You hear the distinct sound of a great sword hitting the ground and a great club also hitting the ground.
Do you know what? You've made your point. It's not that intimidating anymore.
Nim is just kind of going like, okay, for all of their sass, Farron is an amazing shot.
You you hear the cloud giant individual sort of speak again. This one who gave the name Dora. Like, I would be delighted to see what that looks like. Does it compare to my own? And you watch as she seems to call forth a small, like, thundercloud right into her hand, and then flicks a bolt of lightning that goes right in between your legs, Fern. Like, there's not that much space in between, and it's just.
Has she also got a flower crown?
Yes, they've pretty much, all of them have some variations. The each of the headpieces that they're wearing are distinct to their particular backgrounds.
How tall is she?
She is about 24 feet tall, so we're looking around like roughly like 8 meters.
Literally just like bow comes out and arrow is knocked and drawn lightning fast as I just aim for like the center flower in the flower crown and just
Okay.
I'm not
Are
even
you
gonna
sweating?
dead eye. I'm going to
You're gonna roll
roll.
for
Oh my
this.
god, you
Oh,
are
this-
crazy.
This is
Uh.
this is absurd, and this is truly what my players have decided to cause to themselves.
19.
Oh goodness. All right. Okay.
There is a split second where you see the fire giant who had mostly a bemused expression at you doing this, like, starts walking over to you, and you see the greatsword being drawn the entire time once the arrow's loosed, and it lands, like, it's set down like right in front of you. Farron, the sword is like twice your size. Just the sword. And you hear a big laugh come from Dora. She's like, well, one of the first ones to ever match Elena's skill. They have talent, it seems. Let's give them a chance. If Lydia has seen that their intentions are good, let's give them a chance. I'm certain if they don't come back, then, well, they didn't have the skill to match up to what they claimed.
Oh, trust me. If I don't have the skill to match up, I'd rather die.
Fair.
Only mildly
Out
distressing.
of character, that's a pretty good line.
I just go.
That's a very fair and in character revealing line. It's like, wow, that's both impressive and also deeply sad at the same time.
I mean, fair if you don't die in battle.
No, not fair. Farron.
Oh my god. Come on now. Come on now. Come on.
Victory at last. Anyways.
Nim is just going to be the blunt one who asks, what do you need us to do?
Go to the hearth. Clear it. Clear it out of whatever is there. And ensure that these creatures do not get what they want.
Can I just
Hey, look.
just on a supposition, if, for example, whatever it is we have to take on were to, I don't know, make use of the dead as, like, servants or an army, you wouldn't mind us, like, turn them into pepper pots.
There's a distinct look of, like, it's not quite hatred, but pretty close from about 5 of the leaders.
Hey, all I'm saying is we're dealing with, like, the absolute evil. And the absolute evil may well just resort to raising the dead. So if it comes to putting them back down, like, that's gonna have to happen. Just forewarning you.
Lydia speaks. Only if you must. I will know otherwise.
So maybe we can do this during the day? Not that that will matter, but...
It probably won't, but...
We will find you a space to rest and sleep. Make yourselves at home here as best you can.
I will. I only know how.
You only know Howdian.
Come on now. Come on.
You walked into that one. That
I
wasn't even,
did.
like,
I sure
hard.
did.
Like,
That
I
one was
thought
lit up
for a
with a
second I
neon
could have
sign.
sworn. Hey, mine are not frequent, therefore the badness is spread out into little pockets. Yours is just like a constant stream of puns, Sophia and Nova.
Damn.
Chat causing
And
me
Jen.
and giving me shit for puns.
Yep.
I didn't say they weren't bad, they're just not as bad.
Yeah, Nim is just kind of like, okay, so where do we crash for the night?
Take residence. Take residence.
Oh, I meant more like not.
Okay.
Yes.
Enough with the pomposity. Where the fuck do we just go to sleep?
No, where do we take residence?
Oh, Christ.
You do see you hear another laugh come from Dora, and then you see that Cecilia, the fire giant, begins to walk towards you and begins to lead you away.
Good.
I will be certain to take you to your place of residence for now, where you will be able to fucking sleep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a certain level of, like, kind of bluntness about the situation and speaking pattern that is probably very familiar to Howdian. This is not an uncommon, like, pattern of speech for for a
No,
lot of the
true.
firekin to this, like
Absolutely.
the kind of seriousness of it is a little bit above what you'd expect even like some of the fire giants to indulge in. It's just like it's been that kind of tension in no small part due to how you have chosen to present yourselves,
Yep.
which is to say all that has been caused by Ferret.
Yep. Whom I have told to shut the fuck up, but you know, it's fine.
I feel like
But-
that's just encouragement.
Yeah,
I guess.
unless you're going to actively gag them, like
I was about to, but you know, it's fine. While walking out of the room,
Okay.
I just looked back once more, and I just go to Nilane.
Yeah, Nilane has just sort of been on the outside of this conversation, just kind of like looking in and just trying to be respectful, but every now and then like trying to catch your eye, like we'll talk, like doing the equivalent of like we'll talk and we'll get into food, drink. Like doing all of those, essentially like just trying to like mime like what she's interested in like catching over.
Yeah.
Fucking
I mean,
Gabriel, just call
come
me.
on now.
I will say,
yeah.
because
That's
we're
like,
approaching the end of our session,
Yes.
there'll be a tiny bit, maybe a tiny bit after this, but I want to give us space to just get out roughly on time. I will say this: no one else hears the following being said except for Nim. You hear another voice in your head. But this one you recognize as Lydia's voice. I have seen what you deal with, Nim. And what you are capable of. Be mindful how you use the power that you have, and do not let your demons take residence fully in your mind.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. Somehow. They are saying that out loud. There's no.
get right on what?
Life. It's a long story.
All right.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I would like to hear the story, but I'll do that when we get to our place of residence.
Oh yeah, once we've taken residence.
Yes. Yes, we have.
I will also say, Nim, you do hear the voice of the other, who's now your passenger, speak as well. But Lydia seems to be talking to the passenger as well, and seemingly trying to get it to shut up.
Damn.
I will offer, and the last thing that Lydia will indicate to you is, I will offer you this boon to remove the passenger if you are successful. I have foreseen many things, and I believe this is within our power. If you wish it to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, I was just expecting him to go to say something dumb, but yeah, I like that better.
And last thing from the voice you hear, I will not fade. Not when I have such delightful memories to peruse over in here. Water. This I'll have to remember.
The
And
water ain't the problem, bud.
And who's
But also-
this face in here? Keeping something? I'll look into it.
You do that. In the meantime, looks around the village. You're still gonna be out of luck this time, bud.
I don't know. I'm pretty fucking lucky.
Oh no, not you. Sorry.
And that's where we're gonna end the session. Just that last moment, just like it's just been. I've just been imagining they've been walking back. It's just been a couple of those comments being said in fair, and it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So I was gonna say, what the fuck are you on about water? We're on solid fucking stone.
No, they're not. So Nim isn't very loud, but they're also not necessarily quiet when they're evenly talking to themselves. So it's just a blunt little like, can't touch this.
God damn it. You, Jace. Anyways, that is going to be
Yeah.
our session for today. Thank
Hell
you
yeah.
everyone for tuning in, as our party has managed to find the giant community among the mountains after saving a frost giant, and has met apparently what I'm sure Jen will refer to as another set of very hot NPCs, in the way I described them all.
I mean, I didn't want to say it about Lydia, but like, you know, you know. Come on.
I'll be certain to give you all the names and every that in our private chat and such, so folks can keep track. But
Just make Jen watch this video. Just tell
just for this part.
Tell her, yeah, just for this part. Just tell her, okay, skip to here.
Yeah, tell her the timestamp.
These are all the people that you meet, by the way. I'm sure you'll be interested in this.
It's just like, hey Jen, meet your coven of new wives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, that's probably the way I should tell it to her.
Yes.
Love you, Jen. We miss you so much. We're sorry you couldn't be here this week, but
feel better.
Let's get into our outros, everyone. So, if someone would like to take the initiative of just saying who you are, who you played, where we can find you, and any other projects you want to hype up.
I'll start then. It's good. All right. Hello, everyone. It's me, your friend Inez. I haven't been saying this, but I use she/her pronouns. I've been playing Howdian, who also uses she/her pronouns. Big buff elf lady who loves you very much, as do I. Anyways, you can find me everywhere on the internet. At Inez666 or an underscore behind it. You know, if you look up Inez666, it's gonna be me. It's fine. So you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Sure, I don't use it a lot, but sure. You can find me on Twitch, where I'm trying to get back into streaming of like variety stuff. So talking to the camera, doing my makeup, I do games on stream, whatever I like, basically. Let's see. Yeah. Follow my Twitter if you want to be most up to date with my recent projects. One of my recent ones being a podcast that I'm gonna make. It's going to be really fun. It's called the People of Passion podcast, and it's a monthly podcast where I talk to people of my community or like complete strangers or whatever about things they're truly passionate about things they know a lot about their job or whatever the people want to talk about, to open myself and other people up to more education, and then also to give people sort of a platform to just talk about things they like. Because it's a pandemic and we've all been lacking social communication, I think. So yeah. I love just
I'm not screaming inside. You are.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
It's like you have that wrong. I'm externally screaming. You're internally screaming.
Exactly. Yeah, so there's an application form in my pinned tweet, and you can apply, and you can apply with your topics that you want to talk about. Please come talk to me. I would love it very much. Other than that, Black trans lives still matter. Black lives matter. Even though there's kind of a better president now. Yeah, kind of. That's why I said kind of. There's still a lot of work to do, but we're gonna do it, and 2021 will probably be better. I hope. Let's hope, please. I love you all very much, and see you all next week.
Alrighty, next up.
Please tell me you didn't just curse that, Inez.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I didn't jinx anything.
Oh, let's
I
hope
only
not.
curse things when I want to.
Anyway, hey everyone, I've been Jace. My pronouns are they, them. I've been playing Farron, the ranger with a mouth the size of a giant, apparently. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at AceTrainerJace. Other projects, like I run a Discord that's for like RPG, which you can find through my TikTok. And I will eventually get around to setting up the massive homebrew project I've got going on Patreon at some point, so look out for that.
I found the unmute button.
We've
That's
come
just
full
going to be a
circle.
theme. Hi, I'm Gabrin. I play Nim. Both of our pronouns are they, them. I also use AR pronouns. I have been the awkward, non-neurotypical intersex representation part of this team. And you can find me on Twitch at starless_solid. Yes, I have been in the chat. You can find me on Twitter at starlesssolid, all one word. And I usually do projects through there. I also have a Patreon page, which I will probably be pinning. The Patreon page is Stars Streaming if you want to look for that. So yeah. I have a lot of projects coming up. I'm probably going to be doing some audio projects for people who need more hearing read stories. I write, I draw, I make chainmail jewelry, along with part of my friend or part of my date mates projects, which is crochet. And so you can also find me on Instagram at Keldy Smith, and my partner's Instagram is Crochet and Dagger, which is where I do lovely chainmail chokers, and they do really neat crochet projects that include things like cloaks and arm warmers. So 'tis the season. And yeah, that's where you can find me. I will probably be trying to do a stream or an activist thing sometime soon, as I haven't been able to be out, but I'm probably going to be trying to raise money for a local charity, the Trans Emergency Fund of Massachusetts. And so they are probably going to need some help right now because they have plans to try to build a shelter, but we desperately need more housing for particularly Black trans folks. And they are majority run by those people. So please keep them in mind, and I'm going to try to do that in some capacity. So watch my Twitter.
Alrighty, and I have been your GM, the guide, the Firebird, other terms and such that apply to me in this role. I am Angela, otherwise known as Phoenix24Fem on Twitter, or the Philosophem over on Patreon, where I have currently 148 pieces that are available for viewing. I've added 2 more. Half of them are open to the public for viewing. The other half are patron-locked content, as the monies will get you more stuff, as how a lot of things work. I am also a musician for hire, part of the online publication Art for Ourselves, which is entirely QTPOC Creatives run. I am one half of the Queerly Yours relationship podcast with my partner of 9+ years. We're both trans, we're an interracial couple, and also polyamorous. Let me see, what else do I do? Working on a game. There's been a bit of a stall on that, but also involved in a couple other writing projects, one of which I think soon I'll be able to actually talk more in depth about. Not even because of NDA, but because we'll be starting to share some info about that soon. I am over on Sundays on All Nerds Here for the City of Mist RPG Royal Flush Wildcards adventure, in which I play Death Doula Hospice Caregiver, who has the mythos of a deity, god of rebirth and life, known as Sheepatotek, our Lord of the Flayed Skin. And also this Friday and every other Friday, I'll be involved in the Chimera RPG, where I am playing a transillusionist body warper slash reality warper, who because I have a brand. It's very trans. It's very gay. It's usually has magic or fantasy in it, because that's pretty much all that I do. But yes, I think that is everything that I could possibly say about myself right now. I have been, as always, your Andean and Mexican folklore inspired GM for here, the Plains of Providence campaign. I wish you all much love, much luck. Wear your fucking masks. Don't travel for the holidays. Please, for the love of God, the pandemic hasn't ended. There was no, and also importantly, yes, thank you for demonstrating proper mask usage. And also, most importantly, uh, there's still folks struggling. There's still folk on the local level who need lots of care and help. And, I live in a country where we could probably have a coup coming soon. That's a thing, that's an actual threat. And we have to take serious that responsibility. And there's so many things about that and so much more that's terrifying. But also, there is a lot of hope to be made and had in the world by us caring for one another and doing what we can to support those who are the most marginalized and those who have had to essentially prop up everyone else without us realizing the labor that goes into all that they do. So, white supremacy is a joke and bullshit. Black lives will always matter, have always mattered, and will have often pointed us towards liberation far before everyone else. And capitalism is a joke.
Sure is.
And ableism's bullshit.
Oh, sure.
Let it be clear that these are my stances.
Yep.
I love you all very much. Take care of yourselves. Have a calm, easygoing week. And if you have time next Thursday, because I almost forgot about this, I will be GMing for a charity stream where I will also be running Quest for Fuck Cancer, Roll Dice, because I stand by that sentiment. Fuck cancer, roll dice. Love you all. We will see you next week for our next session. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Love you. Goodbye. Take care.